Okay, I think it's time to start. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on interoperability of port community system toward paperless maritime trade. My name is Alexey Bondarenko. I'm from ESCAP, and I will be moderating this session today. And let me start probably from the very short personal story. And I just recently visited the Sihanoukville port in Cambodia, and I saw firsthand how rapidly trade is growing there. And the port isn't just expanding its infrastructure, but also investing in IT system to boost efficiency. For example, the ASI Hub project in Cambodia provides a paperless solution for cargo manifest. But the real challenge ahead is connecting the port digitally with customs and other control agencies and the port between each other. And that day, I was thinking that it's a good experience and might be good to share this experience to the broader audience and practitioners, as there are still many paper-based processes in the maritime transportation. This webinar is organized by UNESCAP in partnership with the World Customs Organization and International Chamber of Commerce and Asian Development Bank. Let me inform that we have a lot of new participants, I believe, that we have a webinar series about the topical issues of cross-border paperless trade. I will send the link to the web page with all recorded webinars. Feel free to explore and get back with your questions and ideas. To get us started, let's take a quick poll about your experience with port community system. No, please, can you start the poll? And I'm really looking forward to get your opinion and all audience opinion about the topic we have. So I believe the poll question you can see, and please answer. You can check the most relevant box and submit your answer. Now let us begin with welcome remarks by Ms. Oslem Soinsale, Acting Deputy Director of WCO. Ms. Oslem, the floor is yours. Thank you that you're with us today.
Thank you very much, Alexei. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, good.
Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all participants joining us from different parts of the world today. My name is Özlem Soysanlı. I'm an acting deputy director at the World Customs Organization, responsible for enforcement, facilitation, and technology-related aspects of the customs. So it's a big pleasure for me to welcome you to this webinar on interoperability of port community systems towards paperless maritime trade, organized by UNESCAP in partnership with WCO, ICC, and Asian Development Bank. On behalf of the World Customs Organization, I am delighted to join you today. As we all know, maritime trade remains the backbone of the global economy, carrying close to 90% of goods traded worldwide. Yet, despite advantages in digitalization, the maritime sector continues to face persistent challenges in documentation and data exchange. Too often, ships and ports are still bound by paper-based processes, with multiple agencies requiring separate submissions of the same information. This fragmentation creates inefficiencies, increases costs, and slows down the clearance and port operations. At the World Customs Organization, we firmly believe that the way forward lies in building interoperability between customs systems and port community systems. Interoperability is not simply about linking IT platforms, it's about fostering trust, aligning procedures, and ensuring that data can be exchanged seamlessly, securely, and in a harmonized manner across borders. In this regard, I am very pleased to highlight that the WCO and the International Association of Ports and Harbors have recently released the updated guidelines on cooperation between customs and port authorities. These guidelines first launched in 2023 and enriched with the latest edition released just last month, serve as a practical tool to strengthen collaboration and trust across the maritime supply chain. The updated version of the guidelines incorporates valuable perspectives from the World Shipping Council, emphasizing the role of shipping lines in timely and accurate data sharing, the importance of single window environments and port community systems for an intelligent and secure exchange of information, and the need to address challenges such as abandoned containers and illicit trade. By including these new perspectives, the updated guidelines now provide an even more holistic framework for customs, ports, and industry stakeholders to work together towards trade facilitation and also supply chain security. This update comes at a very timely moment. Just a few weeks ago, the WCO, together with IAPH and the World Shipping Council, convened over 70 stakeholders from governments, law enforcement, and the maritime cargo industry in the margins of a global conference held in Brussels and online to discuss how to safeguard supply chains against criminal threats. That global event, underscored the reality that illicit networks are exploiting vulnerabilities in maritime trade, and that stronger collaboration and data exchange between customs, ports, and the private sector are essential. Our updated joint guidelines directly support this effort by providing actionable practices for risk management, digital cooperation, and public-private partnerships. Today's discussion on port community systems interoperability builds directly on this momentum. Port community systems are no longer local tools. They are becoming global enablers of trade. If integrated with customs systems, they can support pre-arrival processing, improve risk assessment, reduce redundant paperwork, and enable data once used many times. They also have a key role in supporting broader objectives such as green corridors, supply chain resilience, and sustainable maritime logistics. For the WCO, this work is also closely tied to our broader agenda on coordinated border management and digital customs. Instruments such as the Safe Framework of Standards, the WCO data model, and the single window compendium provided technical and policy basis for enabling interoperability at both national and cross-border levels. The pathway to paperless maritime trade will not be achieved by technology alone. It requires governance structures, legal frameworks, and above all, a spirit of cooperation among customs, port authorities, shipping lines, and other stakeholders. The updated guidelines give us a shared reference point to move forward together. I hope that today's webinar will serve as an opportunity to exchange experiences, learn from practical pilots, and chart a common vision for the next steps in the port community systems interoperability. On behalf of the WCO, I thank very much our partners, ESCAP, IAPH, ICC, and ADB, as well as the distinguished panelists who will be sharing their insights today. I look forward to the rich discussions that will follow, and thank you very much. Back to you, Alexi.
Thank you, Özlem, actually, for the great setting the stage, because you touched the topic, almost all the topics we are going to discuss today in details. Thank you very much. And actually, the inspiration for this webinar was the guide WCO has recently published. So it was also a good sign for us that it's a very topical issue. We need to get and to push it forward. Thank you so much. We have an exceptional panel today, actually, representing a full ecosystem of global port networks, from global port networks to shipping lines, from customs authorities to technological integrators. The geography of our speaker today is also outstanding. Please take a look at their impressive bio on the web page, because I will not read the whole titles probably to save time. And let's begin our discussion by building a foundation of understanding across the key aspect of port community system interoperability. Please feel free to post a question in the chat. We will address them during the Q&A session. I would like to start with Pascal. Pascal, he's the president of Maritime Street and immediate past chairman of AAPH Data Collaboration Committee. Pascal, what exactly port community system and how does it differ from maritime single window? Why is interoperability so critical at the both national and international level? And can you share a concrete best practice that demonstrate the tangible benefits of port community system interoperability in action? Over to you, Pascal.
Yeah, thank you, Alexei. Nice to be with you and our colleagues, and Özlem, you paid really the floor. I'm very pleased for the last 4 years to have co-led for IPA this work with the WCO and your team, and it was a great journey, really, especially with the new release of this year. This week is great week because it is happening also in Kobe in Japan, the World Port Conference at IPH. In particular, yesterday, we got Masako Kanda, the president of Asian Development Banks, was there and speaking as follows. He said, I am urging countries and stakeholders to join forces to reinvent seaports and reinvent seaport in a way to be resilient in digital. And it's true that in Asia, and especially in Southeast Asia, we have a digital divide when we come to ports and to country. And in that context, I'd like to elevate the discussion when we talk about port community system today and interoperability only at the policy level. Because the subject matter today, just to understand what is a PCS, it's about policy making. Can you see my screen? No, it seems that my screen is frozen. Okay, so let's do it again. Hold on one sec. We had a technical problem here with Zoom. Okay. All right, it should be back on track. Can you see it, Alexei?
Yeah, now we can see. Yeah.
Okay. I was saying that in typically in Southeast Asia and also in the Pacific, we have at the policy level a major issue. We have misunderstanding and confusion of what are the digital systems in the digital port infrastructure. So potentially at office of a prime minister or the president, at the ministerial level, at cabinet level, and at port authorities, we have difficulty to understand all the system that we have, from the automated system like the vessel traffic management information system, the port management information system, the terminal operating system, and the custom management systems. And not only this, but at the single window level. When we talk about single window, we got the maritime single window nowadays. We got the port community systems when it's comply with the 5 principle of UN CFAC single window requirements. And we have the trade single window. So what is happening is early this year, the World Bank worked on having a different explanation about what is a port community system and a trade single window and a maritime single window, just to take the approach about what do they do. and not to have a standard definition like we have today in our environment. So typically the schema that you can see is we can describe what is a port community system, what does a port community systems in the context of public agency, private sector, and high-level processes. Generally, you have lots of competition in the countries that, oh, I already have a trade single window. It is a PCS. I have a maritime single window. It's a PCS and vice versa. So here you can see that if we just focus not only on the public agency and the private sector who are part of these, ecosystems of single windows where they are interacting in public agency and private sector, if we talk only about high-level processes, so a minister or somebody from OPM can just understand what it is. Typically, PCS is about managing the movement of ships, of truck, wagon, barging, the mean of transport, movement of containers, the movement of goods, and in some countries, the movement of person when it comes to ferry and cruise. Whereas a maritime single window, which is sometimes part of port community systems, like in Israel or in Portugal, MSW is focused on the vessel clearance, the arrival, stay, and departure of the ship, all the full port call process, while the trade single window is focused on pre-clearance of goods and clearance of goods to provide license, permit, and certificate, and any other documents to import and export cargo. This is very important because when you talk to the ministry, it doesn't understand what we're saying when we talk about PCS or trade single and maritime single window. So this approach is very interesting because, first of all, it's very much visual, and it helps us to understand what all those platforms are in charge of. So that's the first thing that it was important to clarify at the policy level. When it comes to the interoperability, we have a lot of interoperability framework for experts around the world, in Asia, in the ASEAN, in Europe, and in other countries, sometimes at the national level. Lots of work has been done, by stakeholders, but more recently, the World Economic Forum and the IPH introduced a notion of the 5 principles of public-private data collaboration to elevate the subject about interoperability. So it's not about technology. It's about, first of all, stakeholder engagement so that we can shake hands with customs, with immigration, with health and shipping lines and other stakeholders through a specific governance of collaboration. Second, it's about the data governance. If you are not in a governed world of data, nobody will want to do interoperability, even if interoperability has to be by design. 3, it's all about data orchestration and business process reengineering. You need to understand that the PCS really is an orchestrator of business processes for the movement of means of transport and movement of cargo at the local level or national level. Data orchestration is very important to drive business process reengineering. But to drive business process reengineering, where interoperability by design is critical, change management is the 4th principle. And change management, it's about the political will to reform acts from customs for port and many others, and to drive the change of having, for example, the Customs and Port Corporation and these fantastic guidelines that have been created by WCO and IPH pays the floor to both DGs of Port and Custom to shake and say, we will do it. And then after, we will have to create convergence of systems and processes and procedures and to have the interoperability. And finally, you are not doing interoperability for, a pilot case. You need to do that on a long-term basis. So you need to have a sustainable and scalable environment that over time going to be useful for public-private data collaboration. This is part of the IPH WCO guideline. This is part of the World Bank Port Community System report. And more recently, that was discussed yesterday in Kobe with Jan Hoffman from the World Bank. This is a new chapter from the Port Reform Toolkit on digitalization and cybersecurity. Finally, Alexei asked me also to discuss about, port call, what is happening in port call and corridors. There is a game changer in the industry, which is related to the IMO with the arrival of the maritime single window. The maritime single window fundamentally is here to do vessel clearance, arrival, stay, and departure of the ships. The second steps when you do those mandatory requirement of the IMO is to digitalize of your port call process. And in many ports around the world, the port call process is still manual. So yeah, managing nautical data, operational data, administrative data, including shipyard, including inspection, nautical, and tugs and so forth, need to be digitalized. When we have those data from vessel clearance and port call process, we have been working in about 15 projects around the world at port on optimizing the port call to arrive at a just-in-time arrival of ships. It is taking lots of work from shipping line, from terminal operator, from the regulators to make it happen. And mostly important, this year, the IAPH decided from their perspective to leverage pilot cases on creating port-to-port digital corridors. Lots of project has been starting recently. There is a few main important ones where ports and countries gonna be connected. You have the pilot between Singapore and Rotterdam. There is between Tangier and Rotterdam. There is between Port of Los Angeles and Port of Long Beach with Singapore. The IPH did recently to create a new standards to facilitate the work of port-to-port collaboration at the digitalization, something that we will hear a lot also from Ansruk later on the trusted network of PCSs. Thank you so much, Alexei, and over to you.
Thank you, Pascal, for providing us the details. What's the difference between port community systems and other solution which looks like port community system, and also the principles of interoperability. I believe we will be discussing these principles in detail because we have a practitioner who launching the port community system and also working on the establishment of these principles into real life. Thank you so much. Now I'm turning to Ms. Amy Chan. She's the Deputy Secretary for Transport and Logistics and Commissioner for Maritime and Port Development, Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of China. Amy, Hong Kong is a global maritime hub with a unique positioning in Greater Bay Area. With your port community system scheduled for launch soon, beyond the technical architecture, what the policy measure had the government found most effective to encourage shipping lines, forwarders, and other private sector stakeholders to actively adopt and use the interoperable port community system, moving away from their traditional paper-based processes? Thank you, Amy.
Okay, thank you. Grateful. Oh, see better. The visual is better now. Thank you, Alice. It's my pleasure to be here today. And in particular, my thanks goes to Pamela inviting me to join. The development of Hong Kong's port community system, PCS, truly sits at the heart of our government's strategy to enhance the Hong Kong port's competitiveness. We begin with establishing a government-led trust platform. By funding and operating the PCS as a public infrastructure, we directly address the industry's concern over data security and commercial confidentiality. This neutral and official standing has been crucial as it gives shipping lines and freight forwarders that the confidence to share their data and knowing their proprietary information will not be misused or mishandled. Our goal is to make clear that adopting the PCS offers a genuine competitive advantage. We are confident that the system will yield economic benefits for Hong Kong's maritime, port and logistics sector, enhancing the competitiveness of our port and strengthening our position as an international maritime center and a regional logistic hub. This PCS connect not only maritime, but also air cargo and land-based cargo transportation. A lesson learned from our implementation has been the effectiveness of this phased, value-driven approach, and also, just like Pascal said, stakeholders engagement. We start pilot trials of basic functions like real-time tracking back in 2023 to demonstrate utility with the whole logistics sector in Hong Kong. We form a big working group, including all modes of transportation operators joining us, giving us their wisdom, how the workflow on the PCS should go. It creates a level playing field that encourages widespread participation, and we are now layering on our foundation to ensure sustained engagement and continuous improvement before rolling out the system. Another key measures is our focus on creating tangible value-added incentive. We are not relying on mandates. Through our PCS Plus, this is a value-added service, we are moving beyond basic tracking to deliver real business value. For example, as you will see, the one data multiple declaration function provided under the PCS Plus will facilitate trade declaration in Hong Kong and also in the mainland, and allow pre-filling and pre-submission of sea cargo manifests for shippings traveling between Hong Kong to the mainland. These services can facilitate import and export trade and streamline customs processes in Hong Kong and mainland China. Another value-added function to be provided under PCS Plus is the facilitation of trade financing. Experts in logistics, supply chain management, and finance share that the PCS use of blockchain technology to record cargo flow can fully preserve data integrity and prevent tampering. This ensures highly reliable cargo flow information and holds significant potential to provide financial facilitation services. With the support of the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, our regulator on the finance side, we are conducting trials with banks and have developed successful use cases, such as using cargo flow information on the PCS to replace paper documentary proof and thereby facilitating trade finance. When we look into PCS, we should look beyond the supply chain because other stakeholders, one of the very important stakeholders is the financier, is working hand in hand with the traders and logistics sector. So in case one of the parties on the supply chain do not adopt a digital solution, then it will hinder the development of digitalization. We are also proactively integrating the PCS into regional and digital ecosystem. We have ensured that the system does not operate in isolation. Our collaboration with the mainland China, especially through the Memorandum of Understanding with Guangdong Province E-Port Management Company Limited, our one of the companies in the Guangdong Province in the Greater Bay Area of mainland, they are responsible for electronic submission of a declaration, aligns our digital development with the GBA growth. For shipping lines and logistic providers, using Hong Kong's PCS means more efficient access to the vast GBA market. We will continue exploring similar cooperation with other mainland ports. Thank you so much.
Wow, it's so impressive, Ms. Chan, what the progress, and I actually really like the idea of Port Community System Plus concept. Indeed, if you already have all the data and all stakeholders on board, you can create value-added services, and
Yes.
the data itself can become a good, the public good for it, and it's really impressive. I have a lot of questions. How does it work in real life, and what is the real figures you have? How you like reduce the paper, for example, other stuff. I believe we will be having time at the end when we will be having a Q&A session, and I can ask this question. And also, I saw the blockchain and other stuff, which will be interesting to discuss a little bit later.
Okay.
I'm really eager. I see that we have already questions. It's already 5 questions in our Q&A, and I'm asking our distinguished panelists to address this and to answer this question if you know how to better to answer this question. Otherwise, I will ask this question at the end. And now let's hear from Konstantin Suter. He's a senior customs advisor at UNCTAD, who has been working on critical connection between port and customs. Now we're turning to this idea that one of the main actor in the port is customs. And I know that UNCTAD is actively working on ASI Hub project in many countries, and the ASI Hub represent this idea of connection between the customs and the port. And I would like to ask, how does ESCAP actually process this pre-arrival data to strengthen customs risk assessment? And what concrete benefits have you observed in terms of reducing document requirement and improving trade facilitation? Konstantin, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the question, and Alexei, and for inviting us to this webinar and to give us the opportunity to share our experience in the piloting countries. Indeed, ASI Hub marks a major milestone in the ongoing digitalization of maritime trade. It serves as a long-awaited bridge between two critical yet traditionally separate ecosystems that have operated mostly in parallel, often exchanging data in fragmented ways and not always achieving true interoperability or coordinated collaboration. On one side, the port community systems are platforms where ships, terminals, and logistic operators share all their operational data. On the other side, the custom systems are handling complementary data sets related to vessel clearance, cargo clearance, and goods clearance. This includes cargo declaration, vessel arrival and goods presentation notification, temporary storage declaration, import declaration data, which must be validated, risk assessed, and cleared. Until recently, that link between the two was fragmented. ASI Hub changes that completely. It provides a secure digital bridge that transmits all relevant vessel and cargo data directly from the port environment to customs in real time and in standardized formats. Customs as well is supplying the PCS with data on consignment statuses, including information on their release. So in other words, ASI Hub doesn't just automate the data sharing, it transforms how customs and ports interact, moving from isolated systems to a truly connected trade ecosystem. This integration not only enhances transparency and efficiency, but also strengthens compliance, risk management, and overall trust in the digital maritime trade environment. Few words about how the system is processing and using advanced cargo information. When a vessel leaves its last port of call, shipping agents and terminals upload the cargo manifest, the stowage plans, and other related information into PCS. Normally, that information would stay locked inside the port's environment until the vessel actually arrived. But with ASI Hub, that information, including the bill of lading data, consignment and container data, is automatically sent securely to the national customs systems, such as ASICUDA, as soon as the respective information is received in the PCS and well before arrival. So customs doesn't have to wait until the goods are being the last goods are being loaded in the last port of call. They can receive information partially and make that information available to relevant actors. So this means that custom doesn't have to wait until the vessel docks. Its risk management engine can start analyzing the data days in advance, cross-checking against trader profiles, past imports, watch lists, providing customs with richer information to support a more informed risk assessment for a better targeting and more effective decision on which shipments to inspect upon arrival. At the same time, and this is what Alexei have seen in one of the pilot countries in Cambodia, importers can already pre-lodge their goods declarations without waiting for the vessel and the goods to arrive, making reference to the related electronic bills of lading and allowing customs to begin the pre-arrival clearance process. So by the time that the vessel arrives, Customs already have done much of the heavy lifting. They plan their inspections, if any. They might have requested additional information and documents, or even pre-clear low-risk consignments for immediate release upon arrival. So in fact, and essentially, ASIHAB turns border controls from a reactive process into a more proactive one. And this is where the real value of the tool lies. It's not only about sending faster the information, but it's more about the improving the quality of the risk assessment and the overall end-to-end clearance processes for all three: vessel clearance, cargo, and goods clearance. So customs doesn't have to rely on post-arrival declaration, meaning that the risk assessment was based on what the traders declared at the destination, often providing incomplete or submitting the information very late. PCS data gives customs something completely different. It provides real-time operational picture of what is happening, which vessel it's arriving, when, at which terminal, and which containers, such as event data, gate in, gate out. That kind of visibility allows for much smarter targeting, faster processing, and better facilitation of legitimate trade. Of course, and here I want to highlight an aspect, technology alone doesn't solve everything. The other half of the challenge lies with the regulatory framework. And this is based on our experience in the respective piloting country. In many countries, laws still require physical manifest or stamped bill of ladings. So even if the customs system is ready to process data electronically, those paper requirements can hold everything back. That's why, as part of the ASIHAB implementation, we work with customs administration, port authorities, and shipping agents to put the legal foundation in place, things like MOUs and data sharing agreements that formally recognize the PCS data as official pre-arrival submission under customs law. This legal recognition is essential to move from digital in principle to digital in practice. One more aspect before concluding, as you can see on the slide that is summarizing most of what I said before, including the pilot countries. The tool enables the automatic data exchange system to system, not only between PCS and customs administrations using ASICUDA system, but also maritime single windows and ship data providers. Alexei, you may recall the fact that when we started developing this tool, in fact, we started with TradeLens, enabling the events from TradeLens to be automatically exchanged with ASIHAB. So it provides an environment to exchange information with customs in all the countries, regardless if they have a port community system in place, a maritime single window, or if they receive from other platforms, system to system, the information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Konstantin. Indeed, it's a lot of insights, and I talked to people in Cambodia, customs people, and they were really proud, and I saw that they do not request anymore cargo manifest in paper form, and they said that before it was a lot of paper for each of the ship, and now they're doing it in the system only, and they still don't have the whole data from the port, but they already have some data from the shipping lines. And from some shipping lines, they're getting it from system to system integration, and they really like this. So that's why they requested other shipping lines to also provide information within the ASIHAB, and they send them the file, please send us every time. So the shipping lines should also change their processes in order to comply with the new regulation in Cambodia. It's really, really helps. And I believe that if it's as a hub, right, so it can be connected to different systems, and each country should analyze what kind of system that exists and how to align this all processes. And as you said, customs can check in real time and pre-arrival time. So it's really creates an additional value for this in the trade facilitation, actually, in that work. Thank you so much, Konstantin, for this insights. And now I would like to hear from our customs colleagues. I'm really happy that they are with us because they are from Guatemala and far from the region where we organize our webinar, and it's night now in Guatemala. Thank you very much. We have with us Mr. Luis Pedro Lopez and Brian Tanches from Guatemala Customs. And I would like to ask you what experience you have, what approach you use to facilitate the processes in the port. I know that you piloted in many initiatives, and I would like to hear from you what was the results and how it will be also connected to the port community system concept in your country. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Hello, Alexei. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, right.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for the moderator, Alexei. It is a great pleasure for my colleague, Luis Pedro, and me to be here today. We thanks the organizer for the kind opportunity to join this panel and contribute to the vital conversation on paperless maritime trade. The question is indeed the central challenge we all face. Where do we begin? In Guatemala, our experience has shown that the most effective first step is to build a strong bridge between custom and port authorities founded on a shared vision for efficiency and security. We believe that starting with focused manageable pilot project is key to demonstrating real value, building the momentum needed for a nationwide digital transformation. Our journey has been one of collaboration, learning, and adapting. We have seen firsthand how integrating port community system with custom operation can begin to eliminate paper, enhance risk management, facilitate legitimate trade. To elaborate on the specific of our pilot implementation, the tangible benefits we have measured and the solution we have found for stakeholder coordination. I would like to introduce my colleague, Luis Pedro. He has been instrumental in leading these initiatives, and he will provide a detailed overview of our experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Welcome, Luis.
Thank you, Alexei. Thank you, Daniel. My name is Luis Lopez from Guatemala Customs. I am part of a project called Digital Transformation, which the main objective is to make paperless customs. As a customs administration, the Superintendency of Tax Administration, SAT, is always looking for improvement of the current internal process. Also has been the point of convergence and coordination with the port community, resulting this in seeking a process oriented to a digital transformation of systems and interoperability between them. Well, as a first step was the creation of a new office called Department of Modernization and Innovation in Foreign Trade, with the objective to develop a new model of maritime dispatch focused on simplify and automate the activities conducted by the different actors involved in the maritime field. The experience in Guatemala has been the approach in which each port resulted in having a feedback of their activities that are relevant and necessary, and always the cooperation between customs and port authorities, particularly with the shipping liners and other port stakeholders. working alongside to have a trade stability. I'm gonna share a slice. Can you see my slide? I don't know if the slice is there. Can you see my slide? Thank you. Today I am glad I have the pleasure to share the joint work made in Guatemala to simplify and modernize our systems. As you know well, back in October 2023, the World Coast Organization and International Association of Ports and Harbors launched guidelines on cooperation between customs and port authorities, requiring a new model of maritime dispatch, where the process must be oriented to a digital transformation of systems and interoperability between customs and the port community. Today, I'm glad to present the first steps to achieve this goal. This year, we were able to run 2 applications. The first one is this. The first one is called letter correction. This is the first slide. This application is about to resolving errors that took place during the manifest transmission, in which the shipping liners are able to make a correction about data on different fields on the manifest. For example, names or directions of their customers' data. The shipping liners are able to upload files to the system with the customs. With this, the custom continue to analyze the request and finally authorize it. This application was implemented on 3 ports. The first one in this year, Puerto Barrios on March 2025, Santo Tomás de Garcia on April 2025, and Puerto Exal on June. The benefits of this new application is the use of electronic application, of course, simplify and automate the requested error, tracking the status in real time, eliminate the use of paper, and reduce the average time. The second one is called permit activities and operations. This second application is called. My internet is very it's bad. With this, the finally is to look the traceability of the merge that is required to operate in different areas of the port. With this, the second application, the first step, reach times and cost. The second, access 24/7 to the records, traceability for tracking the good status, electronic notification, and the information is very well secure. We implement ports the same as the first one application on Puerto Barrios, Chiquitas, Santo Tomás de Castilla, and Puerto Quetzal. This application has reduced the time for 2 hours to 5 minutes. With this, there are the first steps taken here in Guatemala to make this a paperless customs, and hopefully in the future we will able to run more, making a simplification of documents by digital transformation and increase in the international standards and best practice, allows the customer and stakeholders the reduction of the paper consumption and times. This is the only 2 applications right now, but we are still working in a new application in the next months and years. So thank you. Daniel is gonna share some another information. Please, Daniel.
Thank you, Luis Pedro. To build upon the detailed experience shared by my colleague, an active zero paper use in processes like correction letters, transshipments, and prior examination. I want to emphasize the fundamental element that made it possible. The success was built on one crucial pillar, deep and constant coordination. It involved a tripartite effort between the end users, the port operators, and us, the custom authority. Together, we confirm a reality that is at the heart of this webinar. Paper is often a necessary step in the digital world. The results were not just a reduction in cost, but also a significant and measurable reduction in operational times. However, the path was not without challenges. The most difficult aspect was achieving seamless collaboration with the port authorities, not due to a lack of will of their part, but because of a technological gap. This highlights a critical lesson for true interoperability. It is indispensable that all the stakeholders assume the commitment and dedicate the necessary resources for modernization. Therefore, our final recommendation for any administration starting this journey is to first begin with a single well-defined activity to demonstrate tangible results. And second, involve your operational staff from the very beginning, even during the testing period. In our case, this approach was a game changer. When the system went live, the majority of our staff already felt comfortable with the application, and the initial disruption of a new system was minimal. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian and Luis, for your insights. Actually, it's very practical, and I believe that raising the capacity of the customs in terms of providing digitalization of the process, it's a good approach, and it's good to hear also that you're using the guides and compendium from international organization and try to lend this experience into your country. And I believe you also consider it to use the approach like IC Hub provided. And I believe that it's only the start. As you have a great team now to lead these innovations, you will be getting a new result very soon. And yeah, it's impressive for the release study, like from 2 hours to 5 minutes. I believe it's a release of goods or what kind of release?
Yes, it's the request ship liner sent to the customs, and the authorization time has reduced, yes, 2 hours to 5 minutes now.
Release for the shipping lines. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Luis. And now let me turn to our next speaker. He's from private sector. It's also good to hear both the private sector and public sector. And we have Krista Anderson with us. He's from Maersk, representing of shipping line, and he was leading a lot of reforms, a lot of projects, and also were engaged in the Trade Lands project. And I'm really looking forward to hear from Krista his experience on this topic and to hear about the standards, because if you're talking about the interoperability, it's important to use the common standards. And how can we work together? How we can use the international standards or develop what should be developed in order to make it happen, right? The interoperability at the national level and international level. Because I see the question in the chat, and it's already about that. How can port to talk to each other? Thank you, Krista.
Thank you, Alexei. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you. It's really a pleasure to be here and engaging with all of you on this very important and interesting topic. I mean, first, a few words about Maersk. I mean, people often view Maersk as a transporter of goods, moving containers on the big seas. But the strategy of Maersk has actually been changed for a couple of years now, when we have implemented something we call the integrator strategy, which means that we are trying to take a bigger responsibility and offering for our clients in terms of supply chain management. So we're not only moving goods on the sea, air, and land, we're also providing a lot of logistics services, consulting, and supply chain management services. And digitization is a really, really essential part of that. It's a big priority that our CEO is talking about every time he speaks. And we've been talking about trend lens. I think actually I'm going to share my screen, Alexei, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
So we've been talking a little bit about trade lens and the opportunities that, but there has been a number of initiatives that I think is interested to consider in this space. So there's been data pipeline projects called like Cassandra, like the Core project, that really try to look at how can we reuse the supply chain information that is available already in the supply chain for streamlining the border procedures and the clearance of goods when that arrives. And TradeLens was a really important initiative for us, where we learn a lot. And now we're taking those experiences further on developing the new border models. We've also been involved in the ASI Hub, which Konstantin talked about. So both in Sri Lanka and Cambodia, and also now in Jordan, we are engaged in that and are integrated and connected to that, which we think has been a really great journey. There's also been development on the blockchain side related to TradeLens, and the legal framework has become much more supportive in this, specifically the model law and electronic transferable records, which enables the EBL, the Electronic Bill of Lading initiative. And this is from a carrier and shipping line perspective, a very important document that is really costly and troublesome to manage and process. But there is a objective for Maersk to have these digitized at the level of 50% by 2027 and 100% by 2030. And this is also aligned with the Digital Container Shipping Association and their objectives. Today, we are at about 81% when it comes to the straight bill of lading, which is the easy type of bill of lading. But when it comes to the multiple transferable bill of lading, it's only 19%. So there is some way to go there. And we've been doing a lot of pilot testing on bill of lading with very successful outcomes. There's one specific pilot of scrap metals from US to India, where we integrated with the electronic bill of lading in the process, and the savings was tremendous. In terms of the documentation transfer, we could save 5 to 10 days, but also the trade finance side did a lot of savings on that. So that's proven that the interoperability can be achieved in that sense. There's also a lot of trade documents providers that are offering blockchain solutions for supporting this initiative, and the key, and those are really great, but the key thing that needs to be achieved with this is that there has to be interoperability, and that's where the standards come into play. So we speak the same language, we understand the same data elements in the same way, and we can quickly integrate them on the technology level. But we also want to say that it's really important with the trust element in this, because even though that might be digital information, they might sit on the blockchain and nobody's able to change them. But the information in there has to be compliant from the beginning. So there has to be a level of trust in this sense. So what we are looking at now is creating, as we are an integrator of goods, and we see the opportunity of integrating with the majority of the supply chain. We can collect and provide information at a much earlier stage now than compared to the regulatory reporting in terms of the pre-arrival processing, customs declarations, and so on. So already from the purchase order creation, which is months before the actual movement of the goods, we are able to present that information for the relevant government authorities. They can do their pre-arrival processing, screening, and at the time when the goods is arriving, everything runs smoothly, because any issues or deviation has been able to be managed before that. And that continues then throughout the supply chain, through the number of events that are occurring in the supply chain. And the information that is collected is about the actors in the supply chain, from the original seller, manufacturer, down to the buyer and the receiver of the goods, but also information about the goods, the supply chain events themselves, but also information for track and trace, because more and more of the consignment and shipments are equipped with that kind of solutions, Internet of Things technologies that can collect useful information that will reassure for the government that the containers, the shipments, the consignment hasn't been tampered with, the temperature has been stable, and so on. And we are running a number of pilots for this digital trade corridor concept, where we did one in the UK called the UK Ecosystem of Trust, where 28 new data elements were shared, and we could see 20% faster government decisions. We could see a 60% improved predictability from a logistics planning point of view, and we could see 40% reduced trader cost in this sense. And this is something we're now doing also in the EU, but also is part of the US CBP Global Business Identifier test, where purchase order information is being screened much earlier from a forced labor perspective to verify the compliance of those. And this has generated a lot of benefits from a trader private sector point of view, and for us as a carrier, and eventually for our clients. So that's a really important initiative that we're doing, and we call this the digital product passport. Now there are other things that are also called that. But when we combine all of these product information, entity information, and supply chain event data, and sharing that with the authorities, based on an agreement with our clients, of course, there are multiple benefits that can be achieved when crossing the border, like pre-clearance, periodic reporting, or even like in the EU customs reform that is envisioned there, eventually there's no customs declarations because the information has already been shared and verified. What's interesting also that using AI screening, we can also look beyond the immediate supply chain. So we can see the true origin of the components of the goods that is being shipped. We can see what are the entities that the actors in this supply chain is doing business with that is not visible in the immediate supply chain. So that's a really interesting area for government's perspective, and also from our own perspective.
That we will organize a separate webinar about this topic, because it's particular interest of us as well. It's interesting. Sorry for me to interrupting you, but I think you're already finished, right? Actually, it was interesting to hear from you because your concept is really far from the just carry goods from one point to another point. And as you are collecting all of this data and you have all of this data, I believe you support this initiative on port community system in many countries. And your main point, I think, is just to send this data, right, in that format that they will understand. And that's why I see that the role of Maersk as a global player is to work with ports in different countries to align and to describe them the standards which you are using and which standards you can send them the data. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. So this is really a big part of this work and solution that we're talking about too, because there are a lot of standards from the UN Transparency Protocol down to UNC FACT.
Very new.
Yeah, exactly. And
UNC
and WCO data model. And the trick is really to identify the relevant standard and agree with the receiver on the other side. What standards are we using? Because there are multiple.
Oh.
So the harmonization is really key here.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christopher, for your insights. And now I would like to pass the floor. Our final speaker is Mr. Hans Rook. I know Hans for many years, and he is ambassador of the One Association, which is dealing with the port community system for many years. Hans, you have heard our discussions. As a guru in this topic, what are the main points you can share with us? And why we have to create this interoperability, and why this neutral platform which contains the data is important to facilitate trade and also to reduce the number of paper we are using now in many locations.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Alexei, for getting this intruder at the very late stage into the webinar. I must say, I've heard, of course, all the speakers now, and I made some notes, but they all have the same view. They all have to focus on interoperability, standardization, harmonization of the data, and that's the way forward. And well, we would all like to have the world booming in this way, but we all know that the world is different from what we are thinking about, and that makes it sometimes very difficult. But looking from a PCS point of view, when we talk about interoperability, port community systems are the critical platforms where data standards and data harmonization is key, because otherwise they will not work in their own port themselves. And that's one of the profitable things when you talk about interoperability between PCS and PCS, between the various ports. So that's a little key. What I want to highlight is PCS and is a neutral and trusted platform. And what I mean with neutral trusted platform is it has a lot of data on the platform delivered by most of the time ship agencies and one-time delivery and many times used, as you said before already. That's the way to go forward. But the data is not owned by the PCS platform. So when you talk about PCS interoperability between port 1 and port 2, you always have to deal with the party that has sent the data to port 1 PCS platform that must, and he must or she must allow that the data is used in the other port, right? And that's one of the most difficult things when you look from many distances in the world that we have, not only distances, but also different in cultures, etc., etc. And Pascal highlighted already a little bit about the change management, the human factor, to get the right mindset to say, okay, nothing is happening in between delivering the data from one platform to the other platform. The data is still trusted, the data is secure, and will only be used by the parties that I, as sender, first originator of the data, has given allowance to. So that said, I think that's one of the good things. So data ownership must not be underestimated because it's very important when you go for interoperability between systems. last but not least, I make it very short because we have a lot of discussion and things to go on. In 2014, and Pascal was still at that moment our chairman, I think so, of IPCSA. In 2014, we already started to look at interoperability between PCSs. We got the questions from the members that want to exchange data, not retyping the data, not reinsert the data in the other PCSs, and to get it running. Well, what we discovered what we have been looking at was how can we do that? Well, it's still open, but interoperability, data harmonization, and data standards are key. And from that point of view, we came to let's say, what we call the network of trusted networks. Everybody can find it on our website, but can give you some links later on so people can look into it. And that means that is also a kind of network. There's a hub in between that takes care that the data is sent from one place to another place, but all the ports that are connected use the same APIs for vessel notification, for cargo information. Let's say when you have data for ASICUDA or the ASI hub or the WCA data model to send the data to, that can all be handled via that hub. That hub doesn't store the data, but it takes care of the data standardization and harmonization globally. So each and every port, each and every PCS that connects to the network of trusted network use the same standards. And that's, I think, for the future, one of the profitable things in the things, because we know there are data pipelines between a number of ports, but there are data pipelines. And when you compare the data pipelines with each other about the same kind of information, is the same standard used? Is different standards? Then you fail again in interoperability. So that's why I want to bring forward now our network of trusted network. I must say we made it in 2019, and we had some pilots running, and it was very good, the pilot in first instance. Then came COVID, and then it went asleep, right? So we have to wake it up again. It's still there, but the problem is that you have to go to the other ports, and in the other ports have to sit together with the data owners, right? Because when I am, let's say, a buyer of goods, and I want to know the ins and outs, let's say, track and trace information from the port where it has been loaded, the data must be available in the port of loading, but also it must be given a green light by the owner of the data that I'm allowed to get the data. And that part is the most critical part to get this running, right? So I can talk about hours about that, but I heard a lot of things that was really very good. And also about ASICUDA, I love it so much to see how Guatemala is working with it. And also from IC Hub, basically how it should work. And just a little thing, just a little sideline, but when Maritime Single Window was there was still reluctancy from governance to say that cannot be sent via PCS. And then, and also Pascal was involved in that process, we have set up the Maritime Single Window PCS guidelines. And actually, we have the same when we have new ports that come to us and ask for advice. They say the customers are quite reluctant to log or to connect to the PCS. Because the PCS is not something it must be sent by the shipper data, right? It cannot be a PCS in between. And you say, yes, it can. And we make a handshake between ports that has it done. But basically, it should be great to have, let's say, also PCS ASICUDA guidelines. So that might be a topic for the future.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, right?
I think it's a good insight for international organization like WCO and us. ICC to explore this topic as well. I think it's very beneficial. And thank you very much for your insights. I see that we're a bit ahead of time, but I would like to open the floor for questions. And I see how many questions we got from our audience. And thank you very much, Pascal. You already answered a lot of questions. Thank you for your contribution to that. I would like to ask a question because I saw it repetitively asked about the new technologies. And I saw in the presentation of Ms. Chan that there is already new technology used for port community system and this value-added services concept. I would like to ask, probably we can start from Ms. Chan, to discuss a bit this new disruptive technologies and how you plan to use, or you're already using this in your case?
Yes, when we draw up the PCS, we work together with our trade. We have more than nearly 20 organizations work together from different mode, from the port, from the for freight forwarders, and also truckers and truck drivers, all these. And we also have a technical partner. A technical partner focus on all the technological development. Indeed, this partner is a government-owned subsidies. Is a company that focus on tech. Then the use of AI and use of blockchain and also big data and analysts is also all recommended by them. So we make use of it. And say, for example, by application of AI is that we make use of all those public data in the internet. I always say that it just like dust in the universe, and then you pull them together and formulate the supply chain for all the stakeholders to monitor the cargo flow. So it's very convenient. We need not to ask for every data owner about how to contribute which data. Because this information is in the public domain, we just make use of application to pull them together. And blockchain is something that on the system that for every step, every cargo movement, every activities on the platform, you cannot tamper that. That is trustworthy. And also big data analysis is to make use of all the data just like that. So it's just a application. We apply those technology upon my technical advisor. So it just happened that it make it just like we can fulfill all the appetite of different players or stakeholders in the market. Does it?
Yeah, it's interesting how service providers are moving things forward, and that they have a solution, they come to you, and if you allow them to use it, you can benefit from this. Who wants to jump this discussion from our distinguished panelists on disruptive new technologies which can be used and which we can apply for the port community system? Pascal, yeah, please.
Yeah, sure. I think a couple of years ago, IAPH published a white paper on innovation for ports to reinvent themselves, right? Especially, which is still the same. We are very uncertain and very highly competitive environments. So you need to take opportunity of emerging technologies. IAPH went into even more recently on cyber resilience guidelines related to emerging technologies that was published over summertime. AI. First of all, AI is critical, especially for business process improvement. We have PCS like in Valencia in Europe. They have been working on this matter for more than 2 years. So for, a business process mining, so that's a very important element. For performance as well, AI is important. But also IoT. IoT, when you see, when you can interconnect smart containers into the PCS world with the IoT device, especially as we discuss with the WCO, with the Tin Can initiative, which is for supply chain security, narco trafficking, for example, kind of things. So you have lots of technologies that you can use in the PCS world, and I'm not saying that for like Port of Antwerp, Rotterdam is doing also with drones and all that. So where you mix physical and digital at the same time. So there are lots of things, but it's important to have lots of use cases. And it should be driven not by tech; it should be driven by use cases indeed.
Thank you, Pascal, for your insights. And I don't know, can we use AI, for example, to send the data to port community system from the shipping line, and the AI should understand which type of requirements every port can have, and then to send it, and it would really help, I think. If I don't know, probably Krista can comment on that. What is their view on the using their existing data and how to push?
Yeah. I mean, what we're mainly using AI for internally is to optimize schedules and making sure that we have really fuel efficient lanes and routes and so on. But we're also from a customs and border management, we use AI to determine any compliance risks or other related risks for ESG regulations, for customs regulations, and so on. So we can show and try and create that trust element that this information that we're sharing with other stakeholders has been vetted and has been checked from that perspective. I don't know if, I mean, we haven't come up with a sharing use case for AI, but it might be something we need to look at.
Yeah, I was just thinking that we were talking about standardization and the interoperability, right? And can AI really help with this interoperability problem? Can AI transfer from one standard to another standard? It would be really useful, or even the languages, right? So we're using the different languages in different ports. So it would be good to use this, I think. Have you considered it?
I mean, it's a good point, because some of our experts are actually using AI to help them to map data elements to the right standard and to the right dictionary, right? So from that perspective, yes, and eventually, I also think that there is a place for AI to have that capability of translating between standards, but a bit unexplored from my experience.
Okay. Does anyone wants to jump in the discussion? Probably our customers.
I can actually comment on the use of AI for bridging interoperability gaps. So we are actually at the Digital Standards Initiative, we are experimenting with the application of AI for smart ingesting to bridge semantic interoperability gaps, basically between banks and ERPs, corporate ERPs, banks' own ERPs for letter of credit, which is one of the most undigitalized process. So it can be done. The accuracy is good. The scalability is good. It's not system specific. So these connectors can actually be applied across system because they're using agentic AI. I think the main issue is one of trust, in that the reliance on AI doesn't really answer the question of responsibility. And there need to be legal issues addressed, because if I draft a letter of credit, that's a document which the whole system of payment and so on is built around, the trade process built around document, insurance, and so on. And if I'm using AI to extract data and use electronic records, so without the express functional equivalence of an electronic record, and especially if I've actually interoperated to a different data format, are the legal obligations still intact? Right? Because actually I've changed the record by interoperating for data interoperability, semantic interoperability. So there's that whole question which needs to be answered. It's not an insurmountable hurdle, right? The legal system has basically addressed these technological advances one by one, but it's something we need to do. I would actually love to ask the PCS operators and also the intermediaries whether, companies are using AI to check for compliance, right? Doing document filling and all the compliance checks and so on. Can the process be expedited by, and PCS and customs are using AI to check the document that come in for the same thing. Could we actually join the process and actually do that all in one go? Because right now they're two separate processes. The company does it, and then the customs or PCS does it. If we're going to rely on AI, could we join those up? Would that actually be an extended service of a PCS system? And then if that's the case, is there some solution which actually could be scalable? Because if everyone's using their own kind of system, then we have the more fragmentation problem, which we began with data, we solved the data, and now we go to trust element. So
yeah, many times to implement the same system is very expensive. I saw that the one of the question of the cost, who will bear this cost?
yes. So anyways, any feedback from anyone on the panel?
Yeah, Pamela, I think that so far AI is a very good tool, but also can be a very dangerous tool, right? It depends what it is used for. And what you said, my origin is from port-based Rotterdam. There I started as a founding member in 2002 to set the PCS. And one of the favorite things was to work together with the customs in the Netherlands to make it work. And our shipping agents were very happy with the setup of the PCS because in former times they sent the data to the customers direct and they were fine because there were errors and mistakes in the files. Using the PCS, what we did is checking the data that comes in, where all mandatory elements were there and that the right standards were used. And if it's not, then we send a message back to the shipping agent to say, okay, we found some errors, you have to update same and then send it again. So we were filtering the data before it went to the customs and they were very happy. Also, the customers were very happy because they get more reliable data. Look to AI. AI does have a lot of potential in this way, I think. But what I said, it can also be very dangerous. It can make, let's say, decisions which ends in chaos, right? So how to protect from that? That AI is when it is used, that still what the shipping agent is sending to the customs as, let's say, the declaration or whatever, is still valid, right? How to use AI in that respect and how to look at the legal aspects, what happens with the data. Because I think the legal aspects are in that case also very important. When data is sent to the customs will always send, let's say, information back to the shipping agent when something is wrong. They will find the shipping agent because they did the wrong declaration. What when AI is in between and AI thinks, oh, this is much better, it should be this and that. Then still the agent will be fine because there's something wrong. The agent, I didn't something wrong. AI was in between and made it work. And yeah, there we have to find the balance, right? Something just a little bit different from what we talk about AI now is, autonomous sailing vessels, the big vessels, still testing. At a certain moment, I said, is the captain on board of the ship still the master when something happens, right? And it goes fully automatic.
Sorry, Hansen. Sorry. Thank you for your comment. I have to probably interrupt you and pass the floor to Amy for the short comment, and we will wrap up our discussion today because of our time.
All right.
Thank you. Amy, please. The final, please unmute yourself. Okay.
Thank you for your comments. I would like to share some examples that we use in the PCS. There's a PCS plus a value-added service. We have a one data multi-declaration function. There's only the application AI of AI is only in the form filling because all our stakeholders tell us that the form filling procedures is very tedious and very labor intensive. So we just apply AI to help draw the useful data from the raw data and then prepare the form for them. The one who submit the declaration still have to review them, and they can do the last minute change on the template before pressing the send button. So the one who submit
responsibility.
the one who submit, just like in the paper form, he has to sign the application. He has to be responsible to press the submitted function. And then before that, they can review the results of the AI drawing from the raw data. Somehow, I think in 90%, the form will be 90% accurate, and they still for some of the maybe due to business consideration or maybe still due to some error appear. So they have to amend the final, the draft that prepared by AI before submission. So in this workflow, we have maximized the use of AI to enhance the efficiency, to overcome the most tedious parts.
Thank
But
you.
we leave just a pause before submitted. and then highlight bring out, flag up the responsibility for the one to submit it. I think the whole process is quite smooth, as we have received a lot of support from our stakeholders, and also when we prepare, when we are doing the trial on the facilitation of trade financing, we just share the data format with our banking sector, let them to explore whether that data format fit their internal compliance. So we have to work together. It's an interactive process. We need not to one party to provide a system or format, data format that fit all system. We have to be open-minded and become interactive with each other and work together to see how to enhance the system. And I would expect PCS is in fact is a quite a localized system, because you have to cater for the local ecosystem and community. And then still, in some with the apply of API or technology, we can interconnect it with other ports to form a big network.
Thank you so much for your relevant comment. And at this point, I would like to pass the floor for closing remarks to Pamela Marr, Managing Director of ICC Digital Standards Initiative. Pamela, please.
Okay, thank you so much for everyone's feedback and comments and contributions to this timely topic. I mean, obviously, I think we can conclude that individual PCS systems, as well as their users, are rapidly integrating new technologies. There is universal agreement that the kind of the silver bullet is how we can interoperate with each other, because actually the huge advantages come with all the interoperability and connectivity. And so here, I believe that there should be a universal push for kind of more global governance of this, which is not a top-down thing, but more a bottom-up thing. So the WCO has obviously done a lot of work on, the data model and data standards. There is additional work to be done on the element of trust, on the element of how you identify users, like digital identity, how you secure the ETRs, the electronic transferable records, and the trade documents, like through verifiable credentials or other forms of digital trust. And basically, there's like huge potential. Now that technology enables us to do so much, now's the time that we actually need to come together and actually work on this kind of universal vision where we have one submission and global connectivity, so that the user actually doesn't have to do every process individually. So just from the ICC Digital Standards Initiative perspective, I really would love to work with each and every of the major port systems on this, as well as customs, and with the full support of all of our partners, WCO, ESCAP, ADB. We just really thank you for your dedication to this and for your participation here. So look forward to staying in touch with all of you and possibly working together on this. Thanks, Alexei. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Pamela.
Pam.
Thank you for
Thanks,
all of
Alexei.
the
Thank you.
And also ESCAP team for organizing this webinar, because it's not only me, it's a big team behind. And yeah, we are doing this webinar series for you and for our distinguished audience. If you have any ideas and topics for the next webinar, please reach out to me and we will consider. I was really happy to discuss with you this actual topic, and yeah, good luck with all of your projects, and see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, Alexei.
Thank you, Alexei.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.